Hello. So first off, please excuse the fact I'm talking into my phone. We are currently microphoneless. We're working on it, bear with us. But it looks like the world at the moment is being taken over by EVs, or electric vehicles. What we thought we'd do is bring out two of the sort of front runners in the marketplace, compare, contrast, and hopefully pick a favourite. Stay with us. Okay, so first off, the most popular selling EV in the country at this moment in time is the Tesla Model 3. This particular car that we've got in stock at the moment is the Standard Range Plus in the triple coated pearlescent white paint. Looks very futuristic, to say the least. I know the sort of look of Teslas is becoming quite iconic in the UK at the moment because there's hundreds, if not thousands of them on the road. Personally, I quite like it. I quite like the aero style wheels that we'll put some B-roll in for you to have a good look at. The Tesla comes with quite a flash Tesla branded key card that you can keep in your wallet, as opposed to the actual key that you get with the Audi that we'll show you a little bit later. Overall looks sort of a 5-door, quite classy family saloon car. Nice little quirk the Tesla's got. It comes with two boots, so you get the traditional rear tailgate that we'll show you the space of it very shortly, and you also get a frunk or a front trunk, just to add to a little bit more practicality for the car. If Joel comes round, we'll show you inside a little bit. So once you've waggled your key card at the side of the window, you've obviously got these nice pillarless doors. You've got one huge infotainment screen in there, as opposed to having like a virtual dash or anything like that. It's quite clean looking, quite sort of Swedish, I suppose is the right word. As mentioned, you've got a nice big boot at the rear. You've sort of got this big tailgate that opens. It is fully power operated and everything as you'd expect. Coming into the boot, you've got absolutely acres of room. You have got a little bit more space just here as well, underneath the boot floor, for all your sort of charging facilities. So it just keeps them out the way, nice and neat and tidy. And then you've got acres of room there. Obviously seats that fold 60-40. And as mentioned, a nice electric tailgate. Means you don't have to strain your arms while you're sort of worrying. While I'm passing, show you the inside of the car at the rear. Plenty of room, obviously isofix for the kids, that sort of thing. Nice practical family saloon car. Again, very clean looking, clean lines, nothing screen wise to get in the way. There is two USB-C power points there as well, so you can plug iPads and whatever else in the rear. Coming to the front, again, it's not the biggest storage area, but it's more than you get in sort of most other cars. So you've just got another, if you put like a travel bag or you're shopping, anything like that can go in the front. And then it's just nice and easy to close and lock down. Overall, I really like the Tesla. I think it drives really well. We'll take them both out for a sort of contrasting drive a little bit later on. But I like the look of the Tesla from the exterior. Interior, it's very different in that, like I say, you've got no traditional dials in front of you. But I do like the fact that it's quite clean looking and everything's very out the way and minimalistic. Now let's have a look at the Audi. Moving on to the E-TRON. This particular car isn't just an E-TRON, it is the E-TRON S, and it's the Sportback variant. We'll talk about the Sportback as we get to the back, but the S basically means it's the sort of sportier version, so think S3, S4, S5. This is just the E-TRON S, so it's a little bit faster, a little bit quicker, lighter on its toes. As we move around the car, particular car is finished in a colour called Catalonia Red, which is one of my favourites, I must admit. It sort of suits the car, the fact it's the S, it's a bit sportier, something a bit different. You get these huge wheels here, sort of similar to what you'd get at an RSQ8, with big S-branded brakes. Nice feature of the E-TRON is that you have got charging points on both sides, so you just sort of touch that button and quite Iron Man-esque, it sort of folds down and you've got your charging points just there. I'll show you inside as we walk past. So quite different to the Tesla. The E-TRON has got sort of quilted leather, virtual cockpit at the front, twin screens, very Audi. Think again Q7, Q8, they're all sort of going that way now. But in the back, perfect sort of family car. You've got USBs down there, USB-C similar to the Tesla, as well as a traditional 12-volt charging point, and you've also got some nets at the back of the seats there, and the sort of bucket style seats. You've got nets at the back that just give you that extra little bit of practicality. Finished quite nicely with the privacy glass that you've not got in the Tesla. Coming to the back, you can see the sort of sloping roofline. This is what they call the Sportback variant. So they do also do a traditional E-TRON that has a more sort of hatchback style tailgate. The Sportback is just, again, something a bit different. It's sort of coupe come SUV. Again, you can operate the boot off the key. Huge big boot there with a twin parcel shelf. Looks absolutely lovely from the back, I think. And then when you open the boot, you've got all this space, all the practicality. Where the Tesla does have sort of a point over the Audi though, I feel, is as we open underneath the boot floor, you have got a little bit of storage. You probably could still get a sort of charging cable in there, but I don't think it's as well thought out in that respect as the Tesla. Very similar though. Nice power operated tailgate, so quality feel. You've got the S badge just here that shows you it's something a little bit different, not just sort of your standard car. And we'll take them for a drive now, and you can sort of see the differences there. Driving the Audi to me feels very similar to driving most Audis. It's comfortable, it's easy to drive. I can see plenty out sort of the rear view mirror, even with that sort of sloping roofline. I can still see plenty out the rear view mirror. I've got actual real life wing mirrors. I know a lot of EVs now come with these cameras, which take a lot of getting used to, but I do like the real life wing mirrors, the actual glass. It's everything you'd expect. Like I say, it's comfy. It doesn't feel, although it's sort of a big family SUV, it doesn't feel massive. It feels quite compact around you. The screens are super easy to navigate, so you get kind of a haptic feedback whenever you sort of turn anything on. And they're sort of quite easy to get to your hand there. When it comes to climate control, that's all controlled sort of down here, so I can put my heated seat on, which I've just done because it's January and it's freezing. I've got this nice big virtual cockpit in front of me, so I can change the view. I can sort of change the size of the dials. I can have the map in front of me, which I do like. One sort of party piece this car does have is the acceleration. So because it's the S model, it's quite brisk to say the least. So once I get around this corner very safely, just pick it up a little bit, and the car really does sort of take off. You feel the front end start to kick up, which is a nice little feature, I must admit. It's a nice party piece, and it can get you out of trouble if you need to. Steering wheel isn't sort of exactly round. It's got this nice flat bottom, which again gives it that little sporty feeling. It's got the S branding just here, and then one very discreet, and it's quite sad this, but one very discreet thing that I really like about this is around the Audi logo here, the sort of shape is the exact same shape as the grille, so you know that you're in an Audi. Anybody that comes up sort of, or you come up behind in this car, when they see those lights, they'll know you're in an Audi. It's got presence, it's comfortable, everything's easy to use, it's very intuitive. Like I say, you've got the haptic feedback here, you've got live maps, so if there's any traffic or anything, it'll tell you all about that. It's intelligent mapping, so you can find your nearest sort of car park. It's not bouncy, even though it's got slightly stiffer suspension than the standard E-TRON. It doesn't feel uncomfortable, anything like that. You've got a nice multifunction steering wheel, all your controls. Everything's where you'd expect it to be in an Audi. It feels very German, very well made. It's nice and quiet in here. Build quality's sort of second to none, really, I must admit. It's something quite special to drive this, I must say. It is something quite special. So we've had a little drive in the Audi. Now we're going to take the Tesla for a spin. Initial impressions, very different to the Audi. Obviously it's lower down, but the driving position is nice, to be fair, I must admit. I can't say anything negative about the driving position. The technology in this thing is otherworldly. Just then when I put the indicator on, there's a little camera comes up in this pillar here, just so you can see your blind spot. Watch out for any cyclists or anything like that. Takes a bit of getting used to not having a dashboard in front of you, just having this sort of side of the screen controlling what's going on. But again, it's very clever, very intuitive in that it can see oncoming cars. So the thing with the Tesla is it's always monitoring what's going on around you. So when you put your cruise control on, obviously it's got the sort of first stages, I could say, of autonomous driving. So it knows that you're in the lane, it's picked up the lanes, it picks up when cars go past, when you're going round anything. It's very, very clever. It is nice, there's nothing I can't like about it. I've got a nice glass roof just up here, which just makes the cabin feel a bit brighter, a bit more airy. Initially, when we're talking about dynamics of driving, the one thing I have noticed is the Tesla has a much more responsive autonomous braking system. So what it does is it regenerates energy from when you lift your foot off the accelerator. So a bit like we did with the Audi, but the opposite. If I lift my foot off the accelerator, you can feel the car brake for you. And the difference with the Tesla is it will brake to an absolute stop, whereas a lot of EVs will just sort of slow down. But this does a lot to sort of regen when braking. With regards to this big screen in front of us, like I say, it's like a toy box to Tesla. It's got everything you could ever imagine. It's got driving games, racing games, all sorts just on this screen here. So if you do, or when you do stop to charge, you will not be bored, to say the least. You won't need to go in and get a coffee in a service station. You can literally just sit in the Tesla, play games and do all sorts. Particular favourite of mine that it has got, because I am only 12 years old, it has a whoopee cushion mode, so you can set it that when you press one of the buttons on the steering wheel, it sounds as if a passenger's broken wind, shall we say, which, again, I am only a child, so I think that's just the most hilarious thing in the world. With regards to sort of cubby space, there's loads of it, as you'd expect with an EV, because you've got no transmission tunnel. In the back, you've got a completely flat floor. You've got two nice cup holders here, and then loads of space down here. Again, dynamically, pickup with the Tesla is good. It's not quite as fast as the Audi, but if I just put my foot down, you do get that instant power, which I must admit I quite like about EVs. You do get that instant torque, so you're not waiting for a turbo to spool up. It just goes, just disappears and flies, which is a nice little feature. Okay, so we've had a look around them both. We've taken them both for a little drive. You know my thoughts on either one. It's time for me to pick my favourite. For me, it's got to be the Audi. Anything with 4 rings on, people who know me know I've got quite a little soft spot for. But I just think the way this thing looks, there's not that many of them on the road, especially with the S variant that this one is. For me, it's the Audi. The Tesla was a very strong contender. There's a reason it's the most popular EV in the country. But personally, I just think the Audi's a little bit different. It still feels like a car as opposed to like you're actually driving something electric, which sounds strange, but if you drive electric cars, you'll kind of know what I mean. So yeah, for me, all day, I think I'll be taking the Audi home.
And she heard I flow on the mic and I be packing heat. They be on that bullshit, red and black 23. I'm a young boss and your other niggas faculty.